I drove across the country like 4 or 5 times this year. So.
Yeah, I saw on your Instagram you posted that. How many times do you think you've?
Dude, I drove to Florida probably 3 or 4 times. Drove to Texas three or four times.
From Columbus.
From Columbus, yeah. And I would drive all the way to Florida, then drive from Florida, like Miami, all the way over to Dallas, and then drive around Texas for a while. And all the bigger states, like 2 to 3 hours away from each other. So all the bigger cities. So you go from Dallas to Houston to San Antonio back to Austin, up to Dallas. So it's kind of just crazy.
And I think Cole told me that your operations guy, he told me that your van's named Gus.
Yep, Gus. Dude, you got to give it a name, right? You got to build some character.
It becomes part of the family.
It is. He is definitely part of the family. Been part of the family for 2 years now, man. Got so many miles, so much time with me on the road. It's like...
Does LRX own Gus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man. LRX bought Gus a while back.
Was he employee number one?
Employee number one.
Okay.
Had to have been. Got it right before COVID, and then COVID hit, so we weren't able to use it. We literally, then after that, I just started driving across the country. That was the dream. I wanted to grab a van and then start making road trips across the country, just dropping into gyms, building relationships with people, and building the brand. So I spent 75% of the year last year in the van, just driving from place to place.
Do you get tired of it?
Dude, I do, but I don't get tired of the outcome.
Okay.
That's the thing.
I get that.
Right?
Yeah.
I would do a full week of gym pop-ups. So I started a gym at 5 a.m. and go from 5 a.m. to the last class and just go through the whole entire day. Wake up the next day, do it again. But now as I'm getting deeper into the business, it's man, I don't want to do that anymore. The time that it takes to do it and the energy that it takes, it's man, so much work. But after that full year, you definitely reap the benefit and the reward of building those relationships with people and really focusing on, who's our target market. And the biggest thing for me was being able to actually listen to people in different states, right? Marketing and business is about listening. If you're listening to your audience, you're going to be able to do things different than other people. So you take a bigger brand that's, blowing up on social media and doing that kind of thing without the grassroots underlying campaigns that, smaller businesses do or a business like mine does. You don't actually have the opportunity to listen to your audience because you're actually just looking at what you're doing rather than what they need, right? So we would travel, drop into gyms, build relationships, and I'd be in Florida, hear something from a customer that they needed, and then solve that problem. Then I'd drive over to Texas and be okay, solve that problem, right? And what people really needed and what they wanted over the past couple of years is literally just community and people. That's all they needed, right? You have these couple years that we're going through something that nobody has ever experienced before, right? And we're going against the grain. It's countercultural and saying we're stepping into the gym in a place where you're saying don't travel, don't go anywhere, and where it's showing up every single day to the space that people need to be anyways, which is the gym, and getting healthier and being a better version of themselves. So
that's kind of interesting because of the name of your company, Live Prescribed, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you've touched on it with me before.
Yeah.
Actually, let's take a step back. So you're Ryan husband.
Yep.
And I just learned you're only 25 years old.
I'm 25.
And you are hustling your ass off.
Everywhere.
Building this brand. And I got to tell you, when I left the house, I was wearing that same hoodie you are. Yeah. And I just reached into my closet and grabbed another hoodie. I didn't even look to see what it was. Right. And I showed up in... Do people get LRX too? Do people call you that too?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we go by LRX.
Okay,
LRX
you do.
Just means Live Prescribed.
Yeah. I mean, RX being the medical term for prescription. Because I love your stuff. And I got to tell you too, I get sent, since starting my content, a lot of free stuff from a lot of big name companies.
Yeah, man.
I'm not saying that you should, but you haven't sent me anything.
Yeah.
And I believe so much in your
you do, dude.
in your
Cole and I were talking about that today. We're this guy fires us up. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's crazy.
Because I tell people so much that I'm always looking for this balance in clothing.
Right.
I'm very particular about every single piece of something that I have. And I want it to be I want it to do a whole bunch of stuff because it's against what I'm doing, but I don't like having a lot of things.
Right.
So I would like things that serve multiple purposes. Right. Athleisure wear, workout wear. I've had issues like a company like Vuori. I think their stuff is super comfortable. When I was working out in an office in La Jolla, just a little north of San Diego, I would always stop into Encinitas in their store when they first started. Yeah. Stuff is super comfortable. Mm-hmm. But I destroyed that stuff with a barbell. Right. And then on the other side of things, you've got companies which I think 10,000 makes incredible shorts. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily think it's super comfortable to lounge around in. Right. And then you have you in that Goldilocks zone, which is just the best of both worlds where I hate wearing pants, but I wear your guys' joggers.
Same way.
Because it's super soft, it's super comfortable. And I mean, I want to explore in this episode of the podcast, why the hell would you be crazy enough to start a clothing company, versus just going to the store and buying stuff, and then like your motivation just to like go for it. So let's start with that Live Prescribed.
Yeah.
So you're 25 years old. Yeah. What's your background?
So I played college soccer. I played soccer my whole entire life. I actually played basketball, baseball, and soccer growing up. And then when I got into high school, I started focusing on just soccer. Went to college, played soccer for the first 2 years, and then I quit. So from there, that's kind of when everything started changing, right? I had my identity really wrapped up into my athletics. So when I quit soccer, I was like, man, that's gone. I want to be a professional. I wanted to be a professional soccer player. Once that was gone, I was like, man, what do I do with my life, right? And I was literally, I remember a moment I was sitting on the front porch with my mom, and I told my mom, I was literally sitting there, I was like, Mom, I'm struggling really badly, and I'm seriously considering committing suicide. I was going to take my life at 19 years old, just because my parents were getting a divorce, grandma had passed away, soccer was over, girlfriend and I broke up. Like everything in my life at the time was completely taken away, right? And you realize in that moment how much effort and energy you put into those things, and how much effort and energy you weren't putting into what your purpose was for life. So I was
that becomes your purpose. Like I know playing sports, like I played college baseball, and when I had both my knees, like I had doctors telling me, it's going to be surgery or like you can't play anymore. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want big scars on both my knees, so I was like, I guess I'm not going to play. I got scouted one time by a Major League Baseball team, and I was just like, I don't really have a future in this. And I got really depressed. I gained a lot of weight. I didn't think about like anything. I didn't have like any ill thoughts like that, but I got up to like 250 pounds. Your whole identity's built around I'm an athlete. I'm signing my signature with my number because guys do that stupid stuff. So I totally understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, it was a tough season of life, and I really was just kind of digging deep and trying to figure out what was it that my life meant. Because people in life, they always seek one of two things. They seek pleasure. They seek purpose. They think that pleasure is going to fulfill them. It's fancy cars. It's notoriety. It's a lot of just growing and building, for yourself, right? But at the end of the day, what life was created for was for us to seek purpose. Pleasure aside, like pleasure is temporary, it's fleeting. But if you invest yourself into purpose, your life actually becomes something more, because what man's goal is and humanity's goal is to impact and to serve other people. When we impact and serve other people, the outcome then brings us fulfillment and joy. So I wanted to build something that was establishing people and giving them the understanding that their life had purpose. At that time in my life, I didn't think my life had purpose, but I needed to reframe my perspective of what life really meant. So at that point in my life, I was like, man, I don't know what it is that I'm going to do, but I'm going to build something that helps people to understand that their life has value. Because I knew at those moments in my life where I was struggling with anxiety, depression, I was suicidal, or I wasn't sleeping for days on days on days on end because my mind was racing with so many different things. The outcome was, I don't want anybody to have to go through that alone, but I want to create something that helps people and calls them to action to live their life the way they're intended to, and that's with purpose. So that's what LRX means, to live prescribed, right? There's a prescription for life, and that prescription for life is to live with purpose. And that's why we started the company, and that's why we created what we did. And it's not just an activewear company. You look at all these big companies all over the place. You look at, your Nikes, your Adidas, your Reebok, Noble in the CrossFit space, all these massive companies, right? But our goal is to create really high quality products, but we want more so to be a company that serves and just gives back to our community and helps them to understand that their life has value, right? So LRX means live prescribed. We create clothing that's the prescription to your active lifestyle. You can train in it, live in it, rest in it, anywhere you want to go, but more importantly, we want to serve our community and just create a brand that people love being a part of. And I know that there is a space in the industry to compete against the biggest companies in the world, and that's our goal, is to compete against the Nikes of the world. That's where we want to be, right?
It's a tall order.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it is a tall order, but it took, 19, 20 years for Nike to finally go public, right? If you read Shoe Dog, you can fact.
Yeah, I know you posted it. I love that book.
Yeah, man, it's so good. So you look at that, and I'm like, man, we're 4.5 years in. I feel like I just got started 6 months ago. So it's like, got a big dream, got a big goal, but you say it out loud, because if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. That's really what I go by. So
yeah, and I like that Live Prescribed too. We were talking about like the past couple of years and stuff, and fitness and the lifestyle and mental health and all that is such, like, it's free.
Yeah, dude.
Getting healthy, going outside, working on things for mental health, it's free. And that's a prescription that doctors don't write for people, or people don't want to think about doing. If I don't work out, I get weird. Like,
we all do. Yeah. That's why I don't ever not work out.
I just, do you know who Jim Gaffigan is?
I don't.
The comedian.
Okay.
So he had the famous joke about Hot Pockets. Maybe you've heard of it, but he was just on Rogan and he was saying, if I hide all your kettlebells, what's going to happen to you? And he's like, I'm going to get weird. And I'm like, because people know that, like, we're humans built for hunting food and going for water and stuff. And with, industrial revolution and everything with tech and getting like, the scarcity of food goes away. Our water supply is easy at hand here versus like other countries that still have to go fend for their water.
Right.
And then we sit and our bodies haven't evolved to accept this stagnant lifestyle.
Right. Yeah,
so you have to go out, and then we get all these weird like mental health issues and stuff. I'm super into that right now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's an alignment for life. Like physical, wellness is a part of your life. It's a prescription for your life, right? When you don't do it, things happen that shouldn't happen, right? So then we look at our world today and we wonder why, people are struggling with anxiety and depression and all these different things. It's like, because even if you just look at our world right now, I mean, tons of people aren't working, right? They don't have a job, right? And then you wonder why the anxiety and depression rates skyrocket. Well, it's because they're sitting at home and they don't feel like their life has value. So now you have people living a life, they're not making any money, and they don't feel like they're doing anything for the world. And now they're struggling with anxiety and depression. Why? And that just continues to cycle into more and more, right? You feel bad about yourself. You don't want to go work out. You're not happy. You have no motivation to do anything, right? So how do we switch that, and how do we get people to go from where they are now and to where they need to be so that they can feel like they're adding value to the world?
Yeah, that community part that you spoke about too, and building that is like super important. I have never been more consistent. I've always been someone that was super into fitness, super into health, played sports, but never been so consistent in a workout regimen than I have since I started CrossFit. I don't want to sit here and preach the cult of CrossFit. I think there's a lot of problems with it. I saw a lot of problems at Wadapalooza that I want to touch on in videos and future videos. But the community aspect, like if I miss a day at the gym, like today I didn't go. Yeah. Someone's gonna like text me and be like, where you at? I'm like, I'm taking a rest day. Like, will you relax?
Like, leave me alone. I'm gonna be back tomorrow.
Like my body's killing me. Like just because we have, because you're in town for the fitness experience this weekend here in Austin, and I was like, I'm judging all weekend, so I know I'm not gonna be able to work out. So I've been trying to like back workouts, and I'm just destroying my body. Today I was like, I gotta stop. But then I went with this girl to Gold's Gym. Yeah. And nobody's talking to each other. No, dude. Nobody sees each other.
They're in their own head.
I'm like waving, like saying people, like looking at them. I have no headphones in. I'm like, what's everybody's problem?
Yeah, man.
We're having fun.
You need that community, bro. If you don't have that community in life, like, what are you gonna do?
It's a social club. It's
100%.
Yeah,
and you need that. I mean, it adds value to your life. It makes other people feel better. You feel better. So.
Yeah. Are you an extrovert? Would you call it?
I would say I am an extrovert in some time, but if you don't give me time to go and sit by myself in a room and like write or whatever, like I'm gonna go nuts. Okay. I love being an extrovert, but I need that time to relax and think and be by myself.
Because I was wondering, like, Wadapalooza, it was a lot of fun. It was a totally different experience for me too. Looking for new products, especially with like creating content, because I've gone years past, even before I started CrossFit, just because it's a really fun fitness festival. I think it's even called Wadapalooza Fitness Festival. Yeah. And this year, talking to people, some people recognize me and stuff. I got exhausted.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like, I'm a pretty big introvert.
I get it, man. I was going back behind our setup and just sitting back there for a little bit, just chilling. I'm like, dude,
that's what I was wondering.
Out there right now, like, I need to just relax. And I would go for a while, just go sit somewhere else, drink a cup of coffee, and just sit there and breathe for a second. Yeah. Because I was coming off being sick and getting there, I was like already down bad. Like I was just already feeling bad beforehand and just recovering. And I'm just like, this is going to be crazy. And I know I'm going to be in for it this weekend because Wadapalooza is the most brutal from a vendor standpoint, especially we had like 4 or 5 people out there because it's one day after another, and it's just the full day. You're there from like 7.
You guys were in a good spot too. You were like at that like T of all the vendors.
It was great, man. I was super thankful to be there. We were in the best spot in that area. So we had a lot of traffic and we were able to put a pretty cool setup up that people love to shop. So it was sweet.
Yeah. And then did you have the Miami edition ones there?
Yeah.
That stuff?
Yeah. The Miami Vibes tees.
Man, I swear every time it's time for me to go shopping with your stuff, it's gone. Which is a great thing.
I know it is. It is a great thing. We got to work on that because we've been trying to time up production, but as we grow, maybe I'm not buying enough up front, but as we grow, it's just like it's wiped out, and then we got to get back and it wipes out.
Well, maybe it's my size. I don't know, like with your experience too, because I wear like extra large and a lot of stuff.
That's been a really popular size recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. Well,
really,
hopefully for good reasons.
Big, dude.
Yeah. Hopefully it's big in the.
Yeah, dude. I fluctuate between an XL and a large, but I like when I'm wearing an XL.
Yeah.
I feel better about myself.
So what'd you study in undergrad?
Marketing.
Okay, so that's pretty perfect.
Yeah.
But would you know about like clothing? So,
dude,
I will say like one thing was interesting. Did you ever look into like how Gymshark started and all that?
Probably a little bit.
Okay.
Not a ton.
I thought that was pretty fascinating. Looking into that. So like, if anybody's gonna start a clothing brand. So from my perspective, I have a science background, studied some engineering, did patent law. I'm like, the easiest thing to distinguish products is going to be filing a patent.
Right.
Because that's going to tell you the whole world exactly what differentiates in the market. When I review products, that's one of the first things I look at. When it comes to clothing, it's all, I guess, in your message, right?
Yeah.
Like in the type of clothing.
Yeah.
I can tell people, I'm like, your stuff's super soft.
For sure.
And what does that mean until they actually feel it?
Right. Yeah, I have no background in clothing manufacturing or even production or any knowledge in that, not even in design or trends or anything like that. But when I first started, I just had a couple T-shirts. I had $500 in my college apartment. My grandma left me an inheritance. I pretty much blew the whole thing, and then I had $500 left. And I was like, all right, what am I going to do? And
blew it not on the business?
Yeah, just on school, car, just a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Like I didn't even know I wanted to start a business at the time. Like I was just kind of walking into that. And I had like $500 left. And I was like, okay, I got $500 and I got a $6,000 credit card limit. I'm going to take this $500 cash. I'm going to buy 50 T-shirts and I'm just going to keep going from there. So essentially from that point on, I just kept increasing my credit card limit, paying it off every single month, and just kept building it for like 3.5, 4 years.
So never carrying debt?
Never carried any debt the whole entire time. Yeah.
No outside investment?
No outside investment until after I graduated college. I got like a small investment from like a silent minority partner. And then from there, and we didn't even put that into inventory. I put it into like stuff for events. I was talking to my attorney today. I was like, bro, like looking back at that moment, I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I spent money on whatever, not even to grow the business. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do with a business until probably like May of last year.
Well, there's a lot of lost money when people start businesses. Me working with startups, and you always just chalk that up to that's the cost of tuition.
Yeah,
like you're learning on the job.
100%, and that's exactly what I did the whole entire time. My junior year of college and my senior year of college, I literally sat in my house and just try to figure out how to sell a product. It was literally just T-shirts for the first 3 years. I was just selling T-shirts, and then we started to come out with more products. And
what were these T-shirts?
They were like old branding. The brand was called Living RX Fitness when I first started. That's what the brand was called. Transitioned the brand probably started in 2017. Transitioned the brand like 2019, we transitioned to just LRX Apparel, and we had like a barbell logo. And then after that, we actually just launched the prescription logo, which is our new one with like the train, live, rest aspect in it, right before the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, because we had landed a partnership with the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, and we were the apparel sponsor for that event, which was kind of like our kickstart. That was when people started seeing us as a more of a legitimate brand in the industry, and we really figured out what we wanted to do, right? And we don't really just want to be a CrossFit brand. We want to be an activewear brand, all-encompassing fitness anywhere, everywhere we go. People that will wear our stuff. You know, the price point competitor to like a Lululemon or to a Viore, high-end activewear, but stuff that you can wear anywhere you go. And like you were talking about earlier, the way that our joggers hold up to a barbell, like that was something specific that I wanted to make sure that would happen, right? I could wear these out. I could hang out with friends wearing these. I could wear them to the gym, wear them on a walk, whatever it is. They felt comfortable anywhere that I went. So as we started to grow, we started really fine-tune what we wanted to do and who we wanted to be in the industry. And it finally started to make sense. And there was like this synergy of, we brought on a media guy, we brought on our head of ops, we brought on somebody to run our warehouse, and then started building out the community aspect of what LRX looked like. And that's when things started to really take off. And we professionalized what we looked like to the industry. And it started to make us look bigger than we actually were, because of the fact that we were really integrating and creating really high quality content that looked as good as your other brands. Now we're in the season of starting to develop more products and make our brand and our line something that people could use as a superior option or an option to like your Lululemon, your Viore. So high end, like creating more leggings, sports bras, compression shorts for girls, all that different stuff, so that they can.
Yeah, the women love your crop,
right.
The crop hoodies.
Yeah, man, they're so comfortable. I don't put it on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, really? Yeah, someone's got to test them, right?
Yeah, you gotta test them, but the girls love them. So it's like that's kind of where the brand has gone and where it started. And really, I feel like the brand really started with our new branding in May of last year. And from there, it's just been a lot of consistency, showing up in the same places over and over again. When I first started the business, I would hop in the back of my Honda Civic. I'd back my tent in through my passenger side door all the way back because I couldn't get it in through the trunk into my Civic. And then I'd put bins around it and then just go hang out and talk to people at events. It was literally, I've probably run 400 events in my life in the last 4.5 years just from doing pop-up shops or events at different places and stuff like that, because I knew that the gym was the backbone of the fitness industry. Without the gym, we don't exist, right? So if you serve the gym, and I was watching a video the other day on Nike, how did they get into the skate scene? They went to the local skate shops.
Oh yeah, I've seen that,
right?
Yeah.
So we're going to the local gym and we're serving the local gym. You capture the gym and its membership and its coaches and all those people. Now you actually capture the whole entire industry. So what happens if you show up all the time at the local gym and serve them and bring them something that they love? The whole industry is going to get behind it. And that's not something that other brands are really doing. They're going to influencers or, people with a lot of following, and that's totally fine. Like I'm not against that. It helps you grow your brand, but we didn't have the money to go and pawn off on these athletes and these influencers to be able to grow the brand. So we needed to build a really strong foundation that would get us from point A to point B to where we could go to Wodapalooza, do really well. People would love our brand. We don't have any athletes. We don't have any sponsored athletes on the floor. Right? But we can still show up and serve our customers and create a really great customer experience that people love to shop with, even though, we're not the biggest brand in the industry, but we will be. That's our goal, and that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, that influencer thing you mentioned is pretty interesting because I had mentioned Gymshark earlier, and they kind of invented that influencer marketing and that kind of grassroots building through just organic. And I think the one thing that's becoming an issue for them, at least from what I've seen from the outside perspective, is that they kind of got these guys that were pretty juiced up and stuff. And now they're trying to kind of backtracking, trying to change their image. And now it's just going to become an issue.
Right.
So, I mean, that's like something interesting. And I love like seeing and trying to analyze how like businesses have evolved in that sense. So hearing how you're doing, it's interesting. And you attacking like, especially like CrossFit gyms, I've never seen a market want to spend money like CrossFit people.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, man, because one person does it, the other person does it. It's like community aspect of it. So what I see in the local gym is I see the local gym influencer, which is the coach, right?
Okay.
The coach is now the influencer in that space. What the coach does, everybody else follows suit because they look up to that person. That person changed their life, right? It's not like the Matt Frazier or the Tia Claire Toomey that changed that individual's life. And the people that have money or the people that are 30 to 40 years old, right? They're, older than that. They have more money, so they're willing to spend more money on apparel in that space. So you show up in their place, that's their home. You're like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm here. I got an apparel company. You want to shop? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Because you literally just said, knock on their door and open up a shop for them in their space. Who does that? The mall's closed, right?
Yeah.
And we're still here selling fitness apparel, even though, you know what I mean? Like, there's no other brands that would do that. Like I don't see Noble or any of those other companies going and setting up a shop consistently at the local gym, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like we're focused on the impact on the people and the serving of the people, right? It's not about making tons and tons of money. That'll come. That's a byproduct of hard work and dedication and service. But our goal is to be there and to be in that spot and just consistently show up every single day.
But you're not going to be able to do that forever, right?
So what we're doing right now and what we're establishing is we establish community directors in different states across the country.
I saw you post something about that.
Yeah, so we tested that. We've brought on our first community director in Missouri a year ago.
What part of Missouri?
Her name's Lily, Springfield, Missouri. So she travels all over the Missouri, Oklahoma.
Why Springfield?
Springfield because we had a really great connection with this girl and she was willing to travel wherever we asked her to go. We're good friends with Jared Stevens and Christine Collenbrander. So she was a member at their gym, and we hit it off. And she's like, "Man, I want to do."
You spend much time down there?
Actually, quite a considerable amount of time, considering.
You go to Table Rock?
No.
Table Rock Lake, it's beautiful.
No.
I'll tell you what, my dad had a cabin on Table Rock Lake, and the best Chicago style pizza I've ever had is down there.
Oh, really?
And around Springfield,
Dude,
Missouri.
I love
it's crazy.
pizza.
Yeah.
Gotta go check it out.
Yeah, I grew up going to like Springfield a lot, Branson area.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome, man.
I just think it's really interesting because to me, being from St. Louis,
right,
like for the most part, there's really nothing down there.
Right. Well, the crazy thing is, when I first started my business and I was in college, this was like the first 6 months of my business, we had this crazy support from Springfield, Missouri. Like Jessica Griffith's brother, Mark Griffith, he ended up purchasing. He was like our biggest fan. He loved our brand, loved what we were doing, and then his whole entire gym started buying it.
Okay.
And I was like, what the heck? Like Springfield, Missouri. Then come 3 years later, we hire on our first community director in that area, and she kind of establishes what that looks like. And then we start we hired on Michigan after that. We hired on Utah, and now we're looking at Texas and Florida. So we bring on those people that are responsible for fostering the brand relationship with the local fitness community in their area, and then people are excited about it. They're like, oh, this is cool. Like this.
Well, it's very like your branding's very humble.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like it's eye catching somehow, and not flashy.
Yeah.
I remember there was a couple women at my gym were wearing your shirt. And that's how I first saw it.
Yeah.
Like this was before we met at BCS. What does BCS stand for?
Is
that the college
station?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were there, and that's when I met. Like briefly talked to you. I was like, hey, like I make content and stuff or whatever, and you're just like, whatever. This guy's not buying. This guy's not buying crap. And then I was like, nah, I gotta go home. You just didn't have any of my sizes.
Dude, I flew out to that event and I had nothing.
Yeah. That's right. That's what you said. But like it was eye catching, but for me, I'm always looking for like new brands and stuff.
Right.
But yours looked. It is exactly what you said. Like, I guess you're rebranding. It looked like a company that's been around for a long time. Like less is more.
Yeah, dude. This simplicity in branding. And that's what I look at, like a company like Nike, right? And their branding is so simple, but so good, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeti's another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just put those 4 letters on anything, and 100%. The price is going to jack up, and people want it.
Right. And I looked at our brand, and I was like, okay, LRX. It's very simple. Right? Our logo is minimalistic and simple, and it means so much. Like there's so much in that logo. So if you look at the prescription logo, the pill that's right here.
Right here.
Yeah. So the train is the sweat drop in the corner. So this is the train aspect. The live is the prescription. The rest is like the battery charging.
Okay.
So that simple logo has such a deep meaning, but it's minimalistic and can go anywhere it goes. So you look at like the Lululemon logo. You stamp it there. People know it. It's there. It's there on all their clothing. People know what it is when they see it. So that's why we created that logo, and kind of a play on words. I always thought, how do we get like a pill shape into our logo to have this prescription, right? And now it embodies the train, live, and rest aspects of the brand. And we say, if you find balance in the way you train, live, and rest, you find life, right? So it's like the balance of life. And then the clothing is the balance of life. So you go to like a doctor, they prescribe you medication. Come to us, we prescribe you clothing for your active lifestyle, right? So that's kind of like what we've done. But it's simple, minimalistic branding that looks good anywhere you put it. And we didn't want it to be loud, right? We wanted to feel like anybody could wear it. Like not everybody wants to wear like neon and bright colors. But
you know what's interesting about that? So when I had moved as a Midwest guy, I lived in Indiana, Kansas. Well, born in Indiana, lived in Wichita, Kansas, moved to St. Louis, Missouri. These are the colors, like very earth tony, very toned down. Moved to Miami, and we're talking a whole different animal.
Right.
And I realized the reason for that is because the sun hurts. Yeah. And I realized, I was like, man, I got a lot of dark clothes. So I did, just living there, start wearing the brighter colors.
That's
but you do have I have a it's like a teal or like a lighter blue one that I really love.
So it's still subtle. It's bright.
Yeah.
It's still subtle.
Like is pastel? Is that like kind of the right word?
We call it dusty blue.
Dusty blue. Okay.
Yeah.
So and then you have a bright blue hoodie that I can never buy.
Yeah.
Because it's always like my size is again a good issue to have.
Back. We'll get it for you.
Yeah. But like that's a bright blue one too.
Yeah, man. Everything's just simple, and that's what we wanted to be, right? We wanted to be so simple that people ask a question, like, what is that, right? So when you look at like this, right, it says live prescribed, right? I want somebody to ask a question to somebody else. And then I also want, when somebody else is wearing it, when you see them out in the street and they're wearing that, now you have an affinity to the brand, and you want to ask a question, you want to introduce yourself. I was on an airplane today, and we're still a smaller brand, but I looked over to my right and somebody was wearing one of our crop hoodies, and I was like, oh dang, like that's cool. Like she's probably going to Fitness Experience because we're flying.
Yeah, sure.
Right, from Columbus. I'd never seen her before, but it was just cool because I look over and I'm like, oh dang, like
does that make you want to go, hey, I make that?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, but I was gonna stop and just be like thanks for shopping with us, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think you should have. That would be,
I would have, but she took a while to get out, and I was trying to so but you know, that's the thing. Like, I want people to feel, if you look at like people that wear Lululemon and they're wearing Lululemon from head to toe, right? And then they see somebody else wearing Lululemon from head to toe, or even people that don't do that and then look at somebody wearing Lululemon head to toe, they look over and they're like, oh dang, that person probably has a lot of money and I don't really want to talk to them. That's my perspective of it, because there's just that perspective towards that. I want people when they wear LRX to be like, oh dang, like I want to talk to these people, right? I want to have a conversation, and I want people that wear LRX to be like very, very kind people and people that want to hang out and just chat and enjoy each other's company, right? And build community. I want our brand to be a call to action to community in our lives and around us.
I got a very tough question for you, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, because this is really tough.
Yeah.
Body positivity when it comes to activewear clothing.
Yeah, man. I think one thing that we're thinking about, we want to be a modest brand, I would say, so far at least, in what we're building. And what do you mean specifically about body positivity? So
I had posted a video on my YouTube specifically calling out some of these companies that will kind of like the body positivity, and it's only for overweight women. That's been the big movement. And it's one thing, it's like, okay, if you want to sell sizes for a certain population that is overweight as they get into shape.
Right.
But some of these quote unquote models have stated that it's okay to be obese and that you can be healthy at this, overweight status, which is completely false. And there's a movement for called health at every size. But again, it's, like I had someone comment and go, hey, body positivity is one thing, but we're not talking about small chested women. Right. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I've never thought about that. Or people with handicaps. Mm-hmm. And so like the body positivity movement's like kind of just really niched into this like one spot. Yeah, man. And Lululemon got in trouble because they didn't make sizes for plus size women, but the owner was just like, well, no, we're an activewear company.
I think you gotta, not everybody's gonna like what you stand for, right?
Yeah.
And if you stand for nothing, I mean, if you stand for everything, you stand for nothing, right? So you have to figure out what line of the stand that you want to stand on. And I think for us, it's more so if I had a friend, right, and they were struggling with something really, really bad. Say, for example, they were stealing all the time, right? And I just let them sit there and continue to do that, knowing that person will one day go to jail. Right. And I didn't go over to them and I didn't tell them anything. I didn't say, hey, bro, you probably should stop that. Right. That's a problem. Right. What if now my friend is now sitting in a jail cell for a bunch of years and I never told them anything. Right. So I think the big thing here is that we need to be people that are going to encourage everybody. Right. We're going to call them to a better life, right? We're going to call them to action to be a better version of themselves. And that's what we stand for as a brand. I would say, you look at any situation, I'm always going to say, we tell our team this all the time. We have our core values. One of them is purpose, right? So if I'm not calling somebody to live in accordance to their purpose for their life, then I'm not doing them justice, right? So if I'm not calling them to be a better version of them, I'm not doing them justice. So I think the big thing we need to do is just encourage people to be better versions of themselves and not justify their actions or justify where they are. Right? When I struggled with anxiety and depression, I was suicidal. What if somebody didn't tell me, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be there, right? You can be something more, right? So I think that's the big thing that we need to think about.
Yeah. For me, it's just like kind of just false information that gets put out there. Like, I mean, I had someone reach out to me and say that their friend was morbidly obese and that they were healthy. And I go, you just used the word morbidly obese.
It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true. And I mean, do you know how many people die a year of cardiovascular disease?
I don't.
17.9 million.
Wow.
So in the same span that I got to be careful using the word because you automatically get flagged. Right. So we'll just say 5 million people in the past 2 years have died from the pandemic.
Yeah.
That same span, 36 million people have died from being obese.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
It's insane, man. And that just gives you...
And the conversation still isn't there.
Right. No, for sure. Well, if you look at, and everybody needs to follow, in my opinion, everybody needs to follow Andy Frisella and watch what he's done and what they're building at First
Form. The First Form, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, look, Andy Frisella is a great example of the fact that he was overweight and obese, right? He cut the weight, and in that, he made a huge impact on so many other people's lives, right? So that story alone has impacted so many different people, and if we're not calling ourselves to be more healthy and we're not living in alignment with what it is that we need to be living in alignment with, then we're not going to live the life we want to live.
You need to meet my buddies from at First Form there tomorrow.
Yeah, dude.
I hooked them up with connected them with the owner, the guy running TFX, Jeremy, and they'll be there. Because if you ever get the opportunity to go to, have you been to St. Louis?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
If you ever get the opportunity to go work out at the First Form facility, it's beautiful.
Yeah, dude. I've seen it. We actually, I know Jarrett Bond.
You know you do Jarrett Bond. Okay. I don't know who's going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
but
I'll be interested. But yeah, Jarrett and I are trying to connect and go out there.
Okay.
And I know Dan Bailey well as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been trying to get out there for a little bit of time now. Just schedule hasn't lined up to go out.
Can't use chalk. Well, you can use chalk, but you everything has to be perfect because they have all their influencers come in and work out.
Yeah, man.
You got to put everything.
When I was in college, the weight room that we used, we're never allowed to use chalk. So I was snatching, clean and jerking, whatever. Never use chalk.
That's not even safe though.
Yeah, bro. Well, you had to figure it out, you know. Or you just carried a little bit of chalk in a bag and just chalked up real fast and then didn't tell anybody.
Where are you working out now?
A CrossFit gym called Cross 184. It's a gym I started CrossFit at a long time ago. Used to coach there. Still coach there from time to time, trying to fill in for people if they need help. But really, anywhere that I travel, it's a hotel room.
Isn't that the best part?
Or somewhere else. Yeah, man, because you meet so many people.
Dropping in.
Right. You drop in somewhere, meet a bunch of people, build relationships, and it's like, it's super cool. I've been to so many gyms, and I've seen so many different ways of gyms, the way that gyms operate, and it's just cool to see all the different spaces. I feel like I could open a gym and just take one piece of all these gyms I loved and put it in there and make some sweet gyms.
I'm sure you've seen some shitty ones though.
I have.
Yeah, because I have.
I have, man. But then I get happy, and then I'm thankful for all the other gyms that I've been at that are great.
Yeah,
so.
That was my favorite thing. So before CrossFit, I was doing jiu-jitsu, and it has the same kind of community feel. So when I would go, I was working and traveling a lot, and it gets really lonely. But then you go in and you get this community aspect from going to the jiu-jitsu gyms, and that was my favorite thing, to talk to locals and get like a lay of the land and be like, hey, you know, the stuff that you don't see on Google, and
right.
getting like the local feel of things.
Yeah. Right, dude.
And then meeting some like real people. And like you said, like you're talking to people, like, oh, you're on the ground, you're doing your own marketing research.
Yeah. Dude, for sure. And I'll tell you what, yeah, for sure. I'm always doing that. I think the cool thing is a lot of times we'll get emails from like customers, and they'll be like, oh, I love meeting your rep over in Florida, or I love meeting your rep over in Texas.
Oh, those gotta be the best.
Yeah, it's what's cool about that. It's funny because Cole, our head of ops, will be like, oh yeah, they really loved our rep, and they're like, that was you.
Oh, that's
I was like, yeah, that was funny.
You seem to know a lot about the brand.
Yeah, that guy really knew what he was doing. But one day it won't be like that. But it was just funny to hear people making those comments, because they don't know who I am or what I've done with the company, and they don't need to. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna, you know.
So you don't want to be the face of it?
I do want to be the face of it.
Okay.
It just doesn't matter whether not they know at this point. You know what I mean? I'm gonna serve them the same way regardless, you know, because that's what we're building.
It's a very mature thing for a 25-year-old to say. Like,
dude, I'll tell you what, the thing that we're trying to build at our company, and what our head of ops, Cole, and I'll give him a huge shout out, good friend of mine, he's been smashing our company and really building our culture and what we do. So our core values for LRX are purpose, resilience, ownership, and service. So those 4 things are what makes up our company. And there was a day that we had a bunch of events going on. We had our Utah rep out, our Michigan rep out, Missouri, we had Ohio, and then I was at an event somewhere else. And it was like 4:30 in the morning, everybody was up, and we're texting each other in the group message, and they're like, man, it's early out here today. And Cole messaged the group, and he just said, it's in the culture. You know, and when he made that statement, that's actually a statement that we put on our wall in our office now. And it's just the fact that...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's the fact that we're going to do what we have to do, right? It's like our manifesto. It's who we are, right? You know, when we have this whole entire list of sayings, and we actually write them on all the shipping, all the orders that we ship out, with just a different saying on every single one of them that we say. And these are things that are just calm people to more, right? Live prescribed, or, you know, it takes what it takes, or, you know, always have the underdog mentality, all these different things, right? And those are things that we really like to instill in our people, to now, when we talk to our people, when something gets hard, right? Today I was in Dallas. I drove from Miami to Dallas, flew from Dallas back to Ohio. My buddy got baptized, flew back out to Dallas, and then I had to pick up inventory there, and I had to figure out some way to get it all in my van when the van was completely packed. Like, there was no way I was getting anything in there. So I had to rip all the boxes out in this random parking lot. And I'll tell you what, yesterday I was feeling like a CEO. Today I just felt humbled. I was ripping all these boxes out of this parking lot, and everybody's staring at me. And I'm like, I'm wearing like nice pants and a hoodie and sunglasses and a bag, and I'm just like, wow, dude, this is humbling. But you know, just doing what you need to do to make sure you get from point A to point B. And I just sent a message to my team, and I was just like, yo guys, I'm on a parking lot, random place in Dallas, Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas. And this is what it's going to take for us to get to where we need to go. Because I got to pack this van, and then I got to drive to Austin, right? And then after Fitness Experience, I'm going to have to drive all the way back to Ohio to get the van back, you know? So it takes what it takes to get from point A to point B. And I'll tell you that I will never, ever stop doing that, because that's the most important thing. Like, if I'm going to ask somebody else to do something, I better be doing it myself. Right? And if I'm going to ask them, we had our Michigan rep, he drove from Michigan all the way to Miami because I was sick. And he's like, I'm doing it. You know why I'm going to do it? Because I've seen you do it over and over and over again, and I know what we're going to build. And he's like, and I want to make 6 figures from this company one day, and that's why I'm going to do it. And I was like, dude, absolutely. And every single member of our team says the exact same thing.
6 figures, you should be thinking up, man.
Right? I know, man. But
you talked about Shoe Dog, like
right.
those guys
No,
that were early on.
man.
I mean, they're making bank.
And that's the thing. Like, it's in the culture. That's what we say. You know, like, we're gonna work our butt off now, and we're gonna reap the reward later. Like, the company that we're building, and Cole says this all the time, is like, we're building a company that, you know, we're gonna give to our grandkids that are gonna work, and they're gonna continue building it, and we're always gonna have this mentality that we're not that big. We're underdog mentality always. Because I don't care how big we get. If we're as big as, you know, like a Noble or a Nike or a Viore or a Lulu, I don't care. There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to want to come and take your place. And you always have to be humble no matter what you're doing. And we're not that big.
Yeah.
You know, like
clothing's kind of an interesting thing because, I mean, market share is a big thing, right? But with clothing, people have big closets.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know, you know, it's not like, you know, car manufacturers,
right.
You know, how many cars are people going to have in the parking lot? So if like, you know, Toyota has a certain percentage and then Ford wants to come in there, then they got to get that Toyota out of that driveway. You don't necessarily need people to throw out their Nike and stuff.
Yeah. Well, in longevity, we're not going to just be making activewear. We're making shoes. We're making everything. We're going to dress people from head to toe.
Okay.
Yeah. But we got to get to where we want to be first with the activewear so that we can take the steps in that direction that we want to take.
Why would you want to go to shoes?
So we can compete against Nike. We can compete against the big high-end activewear brands, right? But the difference between me, our company, and another company is, again, like it's going to take us a long time to get to where we want to go from a financial perspective, right? We don't have a ton of money being poured into this thing. But what we do have is we have time and we have people willing to put in the work, and that's going to be the outcome. Look at Andy Frisella's story, right? You know, if you listen back to his podcast, he built the company with his own money consistently over time, and it took him years and years and years to build what they have today.
Don't be as intense as him, though.
I know. I'm not. You'll hardly hear me say a bad word.
I've met his brother Sal, and not anything like that.
Dude. I totally agree. I just think the amount of work that he puts in, it's inspiring, right? It's super inspiring because he's constantly doing something that's calling other people to do something more. And what his end goal is that our world will be a better place to live in. And I want to leave, and I tell our team this all the time, I want us to leave this world a better place than we found it, right? Because the generational impact that we can have, we can change the way that people view reality, right? Look at Nike. They changed the way that people viewed reality. They changed people's daily life. Like, everybody knows who Nike is, right? And they did something great, something big that people have been a part of for years now, right? And they've been around for how many years now? But they started in like
1970. It was like or 60s.
70,
yes, yeah. I think it was like late 60s. Well, Blue Ribbon Sports, right? And then, or he was working for some other distributor that became Blue Ribbon Sports, and then Nike, I think, was in like 74 or something.
Yeah. So, if in the grand scheme of the world, they haven't been around that long. You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at the world in its entirety. But from a big brand perspective, they continue to stay up there with all the other brands. I mean, they continue to run the activewear industry.
I think there's a great movement with these newer companies, too. And I got to speak with Ben for Rad Global. I don't know if you had the opportunity to talk to him at all. But it's like they're looking at companies like Nike and Adidas and Puma and trying to fix some of the big issues that they had. I mean, Nike has a lot of, you know, scandals around like their manufacturing and everything. So, I mean, I'm sure that's got to be something in the back of your mind. I mean, the bigger you get, the more likely you're going to be a target for whatever decisions you make, whether harmless, whether you think you're doing the right thing. There's just going to be a part of the population. Again, we just talked about Lululemon and them not making certain sizes of clothing for women, and they just got hammered in the media for it. So, you know, I mean, you're not going to be able to do everything right.
No, absolutely not, man. But you got to be humble enough to admit when you don't.
But how do you know? Like, maybe it's not. Like, I mean, if you, again, talking about the Lululemon guy, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. Yeah. I don't think he's doing anything wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're standing up for what you believe in, and when you actually stand up for something, you build a community around you that is that much stronger because you stood for something. So the people that supported you before, they're going to support you even more now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then how about, too, so like I think, personally, I think one issue that I've seen, again, I like to analyze like businesses, Noble, I think has gotten so too big too fast.
Yeah.
Is that something that's also in the back of your mind of like keeping scalability to keep culture, keep quality?
Yeah, man. I think the thing with Noble was what was the foundation, right? The foundation was influencers and athletes, right? So they built that foundation, and now they grew a ton, really, really fast. But what do you have? What solid ground do you have? Noble started on the same time I started my company, which is crazy to think about how fast they grew compared to where we're at, right? But
it's too fast.
It's too fast, right? Because then you can't keep up, right? You got a lot of people that don't like.
And they've become a target.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. But they didn't build the foundation and the base for their community, right? To support. Their community of support is strong, right? But in longevity, those same people aren't going to support it because they don't see it as something that's worth supporting in the long term. So that's why we're doing what we're doing is like.
That's a really good observation. Like I totally agree.
Yeah, just take the time. Like I don't want to grow fast. I want to grow consistently over time, right? Because then we can be in control of what we're doing from a growth perspective. If we blew up tomorrow, and this happened, we did a campaign during the pandemic, and we ended up raising like $45,000 for the local gym in like 7 countries, 700 gyms. And that was crazy. Like, I didn't know how to pack that many orders. Our van was literally only used so that we could put all the orders in the van.
Is your mom still helping you?
She is. She is.
I saw you post that on your stories.
My mom, dude, I'll tell you what. Shout out her. She is unpaid, and she works her butt off, and she gets everything done.
Unpaid for now. She's investing. She's going to expect a house or something.
Does. I'll tell you what. One of my big dreams, and hopefully my mom doesn't listen to this, just because I don't want her to know, but this year I bought her a coffee maker for Christmas, like a really nice one, because I'm just like, Mom, your mom needs a nice coffee maker in the kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. In a couple years, I want to send her off on vacation and then have her come home and have a brand new kitchen. That's my goal. Because my goal, really, like I could live in a ranch, have a nice house, whatever, just like a smaller house, have my wife and kids. I don't need a big house. I just want to have people that show up to work in a brand new car and they're happy with their life. Like that's all that I need. And if people are, send their kids to college or whatever they want to do with their money and they're happy and they're having joy and they're coming to work and they love what they do every day and their alarm goes off, their feet to the floor and they're ready to get to work, like that to me is fulfilling. And for me, if I can buy my mom a kitchen, that's gonna be more fulfilling than anything else that I could have.
Right. But I always think it's kind of interesting. So I've spoken to some pretty successful people. One guy was a billionaire.
Yeah.
And, at what point as a founder, owner, CEO, controlling cash flow, deciding where the money goes, are you not, lining your pockets versus investing versus giving people raises?
Yeah.
I think that's always going to be a tricky thing, and people are always going to have an issue with it.
Right.
Like, I know a lot of people, like, Salvation Army is one of them. It's a nonprofit, but the CEO gets paid a lot. But then the back of my head, it goes, well, you want someone who has the business skills to run a massive organization like that, and they need to get paid the market value. People don't do stuff for free.
Right.
So it just gets really, like, the business side of things gets super touchy.
Right.
Like,
I just think if you're a business owner or CEO or founder, whatever it is, you just got to check your own heart. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing, and you got to be in control of your own emotions. When you start to let those things control the way that you act, then that's when the bad outcome comes, right?
But there's a lot of great bosses and stuff that also make a lot of money.
Right, and that's fine. I think you can make a lot of money, and you choose what you do with it. But I don't know. I don't want to be the person at the end of the day that is just buying tons and tons of stuff and is not happy. Right?
Yeah.
Then I'm back at that.
Yeah, that's just the superficial. I mean, that's why I left South Florida. There's a lot of that. I've never seen anywhere like that than Miami. Like so much. It's just infectious. I don't know how much you've explored Miami. A lot of people were just stuck in the Brickell area for Wadapalooza.
Right.
But I was immediately reminded when I landed, like beautiful place, couldn't be more gorgeous, right? But it's got a lot of those issues in there, and I can't be a part of it.
Absolutely, man. And I think that for what we're building at LRX, the way that we want to build out our culture, it's not that, So if we can continue to build and just bring people on that love what they do and feel like they're not working, while they're there. I mean, actually, I don't want them to feel like they're not working. I want them to feel like they're working every single day, but I want them to feel like they're fulfilled from what they're doing.
Yeah, believing in the mission is a big thing. I work for a tech company, and just from the beginning, from small beginnings to where they are now, they have somehow kept this culture, and it's incredible. Right. And I had to spend a period of time. It was my first job there at Undergrad, and then I work for them now. In that time in between, I worked for various companies. I worked for NBC in entertainment. I worked for aerospace companies, and I saw the whole gamut of like bad work environments and how much you could hate it. And I missed the culture, believing in and even if I don't believe in the actual product or like what I'm doing, I love where I'm working, and that makes me want to work harder.
Yeah, man, for sure. And you love the people that you're working for, and you know what they stand for, right? And you feel like you're actually making an impact with what you do. I was at a Jersey Mike's Subs in Madison, Wisconsin, and I walk in there and I just ask the guy, and I always do this. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? What's your name? You know, whatever. He's like, oh, I'm doing great, man. I love my job. And I was like, what? He's working at Jersey Mike's. He's like, I'm like,
sandwich artist.
Yeah, right. No, I was like, why do you love your job? He's like, because I feel like I'm actually making a difference, and Jersey Mike's gives back, and you know, our store makes a difference on people's lives. And I was like, dang, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, you can do anything. And that was super humbling. I'm like, I don't want to work at Jersey Mike's, but this guy loves working at Jersey Mike's, and he thinks he's serving people every single day, and he is, right? So just looking at that, and your job should be that kind of fulfillment.
Yeah. We talked about this before. You gonna try to sponsor athletes?
Yeah, man, that's the goal. We're right now, the first step is just establishing our line to have the full gamut of products that they would need to be competitive with, right? So that's what our focus is in 2022, and then going into 2023. And it's going to be on the first half of 2023 in terms of when I think we're going to start really getting rooted into the athlete sphere. But we're trying to find people that really align with what we're doing, right? We want to have longevity with people, and I've met a lot of people, a lot of athletes that are awesome and they're great. And I've developed good friendships with them, but I never want them to feel like I'm just trying to leverage their audience or leverage them to build my brand, right? Because we built the brand the way it is now to where it is today without having any athletes. And that's not to say they wouldn't be of value. It's just to say that there's a stronger foundation that we can build based on that. Look at like Viore. When Viore started, they built it on a high quality product and a high quality service, right? In California, right? And I've been to their brick and mortar stores in Encinitas, and it's cool to see that they built it without that influence, right? And that's longevity. Lululemon did the same thing, right? They built it on longevity. They built it in the yoga studio, right?
Yeah, they don't have any sponsor. There's no like big sponsor. Same with 10,000. I don't think they have any.
Imagine you have a massive brand, right? And Lululemon supports a lot of local gym, like local coaches. You see their coaches in their stores all the time on the wall. Imagine if you have a massive brand, but your influencer is just your normal everyday person that talks about it to their friend, right? That's where it's going to grow, because the person that has authority in my life is the person that we're closest with. And when they say something to us, oh, this brand's great, you're going to go buy it. So imagine if you just have all these pockets of people doing this everywhere. That's what's going to build a really, really strong brand. It's not going to be just because an athlete, because what relation does, your 35-year-old woman that's at the CrossFit gym working out, what relation did they have with an influencer in the CrossFit space? They probably don't even know who they are, right? So
yeah,
but they do know who their friend is that's right next to them that just did the workout, right? So imagine that person says something about the brand, they're like, oh, what's that? And then they get online and buy it, right? Because they trust that person more than they trust the influencer.
I think the influencer thing's funny because I've seen this personally in myself. I don't like the term influencer. I think I'm more of like a journalist when it comes to some of my reviews and stuff.
Right.
But because I'm so focused on health and like trying all these different products and stuff, I'm becoming more fit. And eventually I'm not going to have the same body I did, which was the average person. I'm going to become like a professional,
absolutely.
So then I become not the average person.
Right.
And someone put that, like I did a shoot with Born Primitive, and I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
So someone put that. They go, this isn't an average person. And I was like, well, thanks, but like, I work at a desk for 10 hours a day and I edit videos.
Right? It's funny, man. But yeah, I think that's the route that we want to go down right now. It's just because we've been in the local gym.
Yeah.
Those are the people we've served. That's how we built our brand. So now we're just trying to scale that.
Yeah, I think you could totally be like, I actually put a poll on my YouTube and I asked my audience, do you care if like a professional athlete uses a product? And all of them, it's kind of a tilted audience because they found my YouTube researching themselves, but like pretty much it was like 95% said no, they don't care.
Right. And a lot of times they don't even know. Like they don't even know who's with who. I mean, I know who's with who, you know who's with who, because we study that and we look at it every single day. But the normal CrossFitter, the normal person that buys activewear, they're not really looking at that. They're just buying it because somebody else bought it or they feel comfortable in it.
That's a big thing that I have to deal with too, is that I affiliate myself to help support my channel and help grow it. Get that way people buy through links, I get funding, and then I can help do other reviews.
Yeah.
But I have to be like very careful, like, hey, I'm not biased. And I've had companies reach out saying straight up that they want to, including clothing companies, that they just straight up want to pay me to wear their stuff. And I'm like, absolutely not. I will first use your product, and if I like it, we'll talk about an affiliation.
Right.
But I always wonder with like these athletes and stuff that get these sponsorships, and I've got a big problem with some of them that I'm like, especially reviewing products, I'm like, it's not the best product. No. It's not good. There's nothing proprietary about it. Right. It's kind of BS. And there's a big product out there. I'm actually not wearing it right now, which is pretty common for this product called the Oura Ring that sponsors some of these CrossFit athletes. You can't wear it when you work out.
Wow.
So why wear it? Yeah. So
you're making money though. So
they're getting paid. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
interesting.
Yeah.
It is. And you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you look at and what you're wearing because of what somebody else is wearing. Right? Make your own decision.
Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting. Like when you start getting into those talks in that space and seeing like, does this person actually believe in what we're doing, or are they just like looking for like the next thing?
And that's why we're a very culturally driven company. So like we need to find people that align with that, because if not, they don't need to be on our team. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them there. Because then they're going to get fired right away because they're not aligning with what we do. And that wouldn't be fun. So
let's talk about like you personally too, because I like to give transparency to the audience of like who the people are behind it.
Right.
How are you staying healthy driving everywhere? Because there's one thing that's not healthy in traveling.
Dude, it is. It's bad. But
you're wearing what device? Oh, you got a Whoop? You got a Whoop. Okay.
Now. Yeah, man. It's dead right now. I need to charge it, but it's just not really doing anything for me.
Yeah.
But so traveling and staying healthy, I still work out almost every single day. 5 to 6 days a week, and I actually still can hold a pretty competitive CrossFit style training, and that's kind of where that's where I started. I was trying to be a competitive CrossFitter, and then I slowly realized that I was more passionate about business and serving people, and I was like, I can't be a competitive CrossFitter.
Man, you're at the right age for CrossFit, man. People were making fun of it, but like people were making fun of it and stuff. I was making fun of it until I was 30.
Right.
Like I didn't walk into a CrossFit gym, and it was not even by choice. I was living in South Beach, and there was 2 gyms. Yeah. One was just a Globo gym that I hated, and then I was like, well, I guess I'll go over here. There was no jiu-jitsu gyms closed. There was one boxing gym, got my ass kicked like from like lack of cardio.
Right.
So that's the only reason I started, and just got my ass kicked over and over again.
I love it, dude. Staying healthy is interesting. I mean, I'm honestly surprised how healthy I've been able to stay with the amount of travel that I do.
Well, it's good you're in a fitness brand.
Yeah, right. And I have to stay healthy. Like if I didn't look healthy, then why would people buy anything from me? Right. So, but I feel like honestly, when I travel, I get more fit because I'll go into gyms and I'll do pop-up shops, and then I'll go in there and I'll try to work out really fast. Oh yeah. And I feel like I'm the fittest that I've ever been in the gyms I drop in at, because I'm like almost trying to prove a point. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm fit. Like, I'm in shape and I can do the workout fast, and then
I've seen you post some stuff of your workouts. Yeah. You're getting after it.
Yeah. So I would say it's interesting that I can stay that healthy, but I make it a priority to be in the gym every single day, and I have a coach that is constantly helping me with my nutrition or working on
that's what I was
training,
wondering, the nutrition.
Stuff like that. Yeah, so I don't ever eat anything really unhealthy. I don't track my macros right now. It's way too hard to track and travel and all that stuff. I just eat healthy and make sure I get in meals per day. The biggest thing that I miss is water intake, or even just food intake. Like today, I ate this morning at like 6 a.m. and then I was traveling. And when I'm driving, I don't ever want to stop because I just want to get to where I'm going.
I do the same thing. It's not good for you either.
Got all the way to 6:30 and I was like, I got to eat something because we're going to talk for an hour and a half and I'm going to pass out if not.
Yeah, the best thing for me is like when I'm driving long distances, if I have my dog, it forces me to pull over like every few hours. Otherwise, I'll do the same thing, just drive straight through and just like feel like crap.
Yeah, man. I would say that from a fitness health standpoint, but even just like a mental health standpoint, I do a lot of journaling, a lot of writing, and just reading and trying to reframe and just grow, you know what I mean? And that helps me to keep staying on track. And honestly, if you're a CEO of a company, you want to build a massive company, you got to be a little bit insane. So I would say that.
Everybody's got to be insane, yeah.
Yeah, so I take on that because I've done some freaking crazy things that I didn't know was possible, just in terms of like driving from one place to another. I'll do like, if I drive, my mom hates this, but I'll drive, if I'm in Florida and I was in Pensacola Beach and I drove all the way back to Ohio, I started at noon and got back to Ohio on that same day. Just drove all the way through.
Well, how far is that drive?
I think like 14 or 15 hours, potentially. maybe less, but I remember getting back at like 3 a.m, and by the time that like from midnight to 3 a.m, I'm just slapping myself. I don't want to drink caffeine, because you drink caffeine that late at night, you wake up the next day and you feel like absolute garbage. That's what I was feeling. That's what I did. So I was just like,
oh, I don't care. I've done the 17-hour drive from St. Louis to Miami multiple times on one go.
Yeah, dude, it's brutal.
Just drinking monsters.
Yeah. I don't like to drink a ton of caffeine. I just like to get a little bit each day.
Really?
Yeah. So,
I love it. I love coffee.
Yeah, I do too. But I just, whenever I drink too much, I get really jittery. Like today on the plane, I had like 2 cups of coffee, and I was just like jittery because I hadn't eaten any food. So it's like I flew from like 11 a.m. to like 2 p.m. and I didn't eat any food, and I had a bunch of coffee, and it just felt like crap.
Oh, I'm super caffeine adapted. Like I can drink a cup of coffee and go straight to bed.
I'm not that way.
I was actually addicted when I was working in a law firm. I had like 12 cups of coffee a day.
Jeez, dude.
It was bad.
I don't normally drink any coffee after 2 p.m. It's just, that's my cutoff, because it affects my sleep.
That's what mine is now. Yeah. I'm so particular about my sleep.
Yeah.
And I do everything and anything to help improve it.
Right.
Like one thing that I definitely do when I travel is I immediately go to the gym. That's my first stop, just to get my body like shocked into like a rhythm.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about being in the fitness industry and the fitness space, is that I can go anywhere and there's a CrossFit gym that I can go drop into and just feel like I'm at home. So that's been like the biggest thing for me, is like going to that space. And for a while last year, I was doing functional bodybuilding because I tore my pec, and that's part of the reason I honestly quit.
You tore your pec?
Yeah, it's still torn.
It popped, rolled up.
Yeah,
felt the whole thing. Oh,
yeah. I was bench pressing. Yeah, I was on a conjugate strength cycle. I was trying to pull over 600 on deadlift.
Yeah.
I pulled it. I ended up pulling it against bands, but I wanted to pull it just conventional. And I was supinating my left side and just pulling this way the whole entire cycle. And then I went for I did some chest accessory work, and then went for a 1 rep max bench press, and I hadn't benched in a while. And I was coming back up, and luckily I have a spotter, because it popped, and it sounded like you just smacked a door. And
I've heard it. I've seen it.
Yeah, it was bad. And then I had to get the bar racked, and then I just was like, oh, frick. And I was still in this decision process of, am I going to be a competitive athlete, or am I going to be a business owner? And that was the decision maker. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a business owner. And at the time, I was just about to go on my first trip, and this was in January, so a year ago. I tore my pec in November, and I knew I was going on my first trip, and I was trying to decide if I was going to have surgery or not. And I was like, man, I'm not going to be able to carry any boxes, like, if I get surgery, and my business has to grow. So I was literally deciding between getting surgery on my pec or building my business. So I decided to leave my pec torn, and I can still do a lot of stuff, but to build the business. So
really,
that was my decision, man. I literally was.
Is it limiting you for anything now, or no?
Yeah, I can't bench, can't do a lot of push-ups, I haven't done ring muscle-ups, but I can do strict ring muscle-ups still. I haven't done kipping, but bar muscle-ups I can still do, because you catch pretty high. It's just, it tires out a lot, like on overhead movements, and a lot of times if I don't do my like physical therapy, my hand is just numb.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah. But if I do my physical therapy, I'm good. I have a really good physical therapist. But
are they able to go back in there at some point and change
it? Probably, but not until my life slows down. Because there's no way.
I get it.
I'm stopping to have surgery right now.
Yeah,
I got too much to do.
That's where you get to the point where it's like, do I need to be doing these movements anyway?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I did functional bodybuilding for a while, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I always want to do that from an aesthetic standpoint. I was just like, I'll just eat healthy and work on my aesthetic, and that was fun. But then I just got hungry for CrossFit, because I was just like, man, I just want to get back after it. So
there's a different stimulus you get, for sure.
Yeah, man. And I played in college athletics. It was just, for a long time, I was just like, you know what?
That's the missing thing. Like, jiu-jitsu and CrossFit fulfilled that like need for competitive, because I can't go play men's league baseball or anything. Dude. I'm not competing. No, it's not even close. Me competing for no reason against my friends, like, I like that.
For sure. So yeah, I miss competitive CrossFit training, but I feel like I'm competing in business, but I'm also staying healthy in fitness.
Yeah, no, business for sure too is like building anything. Like I like building things, and you clearly do too, which is why I started content, like even on the side of my actual job. It's because I like seeing things grow, and I like seeing it as a direct result of my hard work.
Yeah, man, it becomes addictive, and you can literally do anything you want. You just got to stay consistent at doing it, and the outcome will come. It's just a matter of how long you're willing to wait for the outcome.
How many times do you second guess yourself?
Dude.
As far as like, I shouldn't have done this. Like I shouldn't, like, or honestly, I can't.
I don't do that too much.
You don't get imposter syndrome?
Not too much anymore. I literally, like, I used to.
Yeah.
Because I was like insecure, and because of my business, I was like, man, like, what is everybody else doing? Or like, what is this going, what would so-and-so have done? But now it's just kind of like, all right, I'm smart. I can make decisions, and I'll make the decisions, and I'll deal with the consequence if it's bad.
It's got to come. It's got to come.
Right.
I mean the imposter syndrome. Everybody deals with it.
I got a really good assistant. I ask him questions, we make a decision together. So I haven't dealt with it a lot recently, like, to be honest. And
okay.
I just feel very in alignment with what I need to be doing, and I know the steps I need to take to get there, and that's just showing up every single day and putting in the work. So
okay.
Other than that, like, I don't really second guess myself anymore.
Maybe you're too busy to second guess yourself.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why I was like, you're always on the next thing.
I am. I mean, like, that's in the past, right? Like, I've done things before in business where, like, I lost a lot of money. I had a manufacturer last year, and at the time we had put 10 grand into developing a sports bra and legging concept, and it was in the US, and I was like, I'm going to make an American manufactured product.
I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah.
American made.
Yeah. So that's our long-term goal. But I was working with a manufacturer in California, and he literally stole all of our money. Like, we gave him 10 grand to work on a project, and we have not gotten back the full project. And that was this time last year. I call him every single week, doesn't answer. Like, and it was just a crazy.
Can you drive
experience.
out there?
I could if I can find this place.
Is there any CrossFit competitions? When's the West Coast Classic?
I don't know if it's happening this year.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't announce it as a semifinal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But so that was like the first step in American manufacturing, and we're trying to get back. We're going to get back in there. We have an American manufacturer that we're working with for another legging and sports bra concept, but that was just a big one. I was just like, man, that sucked. Like,
are you going to have like a lot of stuff American made, all your stuff?
That's the goal. That's the goal. As long as we can find the manufacturers that we.
That's so crazy. I mean, talking to some of these companies. The Go Ruck is one of them. They make a lot of stuff in America, but like shoes can't be made in America. Just like there's just no way. And I've heard multiple people, unless it's like leather made, like Origin USA, Jocko Willing's company, and actually they're just premiering I think it's the first line of ever made in America hunting gear.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah. One of my big dreams is to I did a lot of like mission trips when I was younger. I traveled to Costa Rica, Peru, Haiti, Dominican Republic. And one of my big dreams would be because I like the Spanish language. I'm not like super fluent, but I can speak it. So one of my dreams would be to go to a Spanish-speaking country in a place that creates jobs and opportunities for people and families, and then do manufacturing there, or do some part of it.
See, yeah, that's where I have because like I learned through in like international trade law and stuff. You start learning about like world economics and everything else. Is like it's to a certain extent you want to control supply chain, you want to have stuff made in America, but also we need our money to invest in these outside developing countries. Otherwise, they're just forever going to stay developing. 100%.
And there's a lot of really, really good people in those places, and I would love to be able to create an opportunity that would support them. So that would be another dream of mine, and I feel like knowing the Spanish language, I will use it at some point in my life, but I don't know when. So I hope that would be it. It's just about, right now, it's really just about how can we get product in hand to sell product.
Yeah.
And then let's build other projects on the side so that we can establish where we're going.
Yeah. No, that's the smart thing. Like for me, for like, especially my content on the side, I have big goals of like giving back.
Yeah.
But I'm not someone like who sees like 501c3 nonprofit status as like the go-to. I want to take care of myself first because Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. I mean, self-fulfillment at the top. I need everything for me to be in its place for me to fully invest myself in helping others. 100%. And I think that's pretty important.
I do too, man, because if you don't have anything, how are you supposed to give anything? Right?
Exactly.
So I think that's the biggest thing for us to remember as we're trying to build something, and we want to give something too. But you got to establish yourself first and then focus on that next.
How you focus on your personal life?
What personal life? Dude, it's literally just the writing and the reading and then the working out.
This whole like Live Prescribe and Ryan has become one thing, right?
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. Like right now I'm establishing LRX as a brand, and then I want to establish a personal brand. My big goals in life, my big goals in my personal life is I want to create content that inspires other people. So one thing I want to do this year is start a podcast. And just use that as a tool to encourage and inspire other people to live their life the way they're intended to, whether it's like living for purpose and sharing my story, and just impacting people that way. So that would be my long-term goal as an individual.
Oh, so you're one of those people. I'm one of those people. I'm like, I don't care what you do. Like, because there are people like Andrew Frisella is like one of them, like in his podcast. I think Nick Bear here for BPN, he's another one where like kind of like giving like guided purpose kind of talks and stuff.
Yeah.
For me, the people I look at is like, I don't give a shit what you do. Like, like, this is what I'm going to do. And if like you like it, you do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I find motivation. Guys like David Goggins and stuff running 100 miles. And I'm just like, well, if he can run 100 miles, I can run 5.
Right. No, for sure, man. I think just the trajectory of just calling somebody to something.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter if you're doing what they're doing. It's just do something more. Like as individuals, we literally as human beings, we love progress. So if we're in this pursuit of progress, it's in alignment with what we need to do in life, because that makes us feel better, and it makes us look back at the past and know I got from here to there, and I can get from here to where I want to be now. Mm-hmm. So just calling people to action, it doesn't matter what scale they're doing it at. It just matters that they're making the world better.
But with your journaling, are you staying like keeping your identity and like keeping,
yeah, no, absolutely. I would say
self-separate?
now more than ever right now, I feel very aligned with what I need to be, where I need to be as an individual, especially as the business grows and more people come on. I had this problem where I wanted so much control over the business, and that limited the ability for it to scale, right?
Yeah.
So
it's your baby.
Yeah, right. But now I love the team. I love the people. And they get emotional about what we build because they feel invested in it. And that for me is way more fulfilling than doing anything for myself, right? So that's why I'm still going to be willing to travel across the country in the van, but I'm going to have other people go and do these things because they want to do it too.
Eventually it's going to be a private jet.
What? I know, right?
The PJ. Ryan's coming. We're all in the van.
One day, man. But
got a big old LRX on the side of it.
Yeah, man. It is hard to balance the identity between the two because you're working on it every single day. I mean, for the past 4.5 years, I've woken up every single day and focused on business, to build what we want to build. And that's now.
And avoiding burnout, huh?
Right. I honestly feel like there's been times that I've hit burnout, but I used to, and I need to do this more, take like one day off a week, go in the woods, hang out, just chill, relax.
Any woods?
Yeah. Let's go walk in the park.
Where'd Ryan go? he's in the woods again.
He's in the woods.
Do we work? Do we?
Yeah, right? So, and I was just telling them, guys, this is it. And that's the train, live, rest aspect, right, of LRX. And people ask me that all the time. So when are you finding the time to rest? And I'm like, yeah, that's convicting.
It's so important. And it's hard for, like, especially men to admit that, like, hey, I need a break.
Yeah. And just even asking somebody for help. Like, like when we were at Wadapalooza, like our head of ops, Cole, wasn't there, and he usually runs all the logistics.
Slacker.
Right? Yeah, right. Tell him out. Yeah. But dude, this is how bad I am at the logistics side of things. I picked up one of our employees at the wrong airport. She was at the Miami airport.
Oh, you went to Fort Lauderdale? Oh, yeah.
I went to Miami.
Yeah, they're not close.
So I was like, hey, sorry I'm late. I'm going to be there soon. But it was just, just asking people for help and just letting them help because they want to be a part of it too. That's the biggest thing that I've learned recently is, if we want to scale this business, it's not going to be me showing up at every single gym. I can't be at every single gym everywhere that we go. I got to bring people on to go and do those things so that I can focus on the bigger picture, which is production and steering the direction of the business. How
much input do you allow like any employee to give you?
It depends on how long they've been helping out and being around, right? So like I take Cole, our head of operations, I take a lot of the things that he says very seriously because he's been here and he's helped get it from where it is to where it is, where it was to where it is now. And the more that we have people coming on, I'm listening. You know what I mean? Like there's things that they know that I don't know, right? And I learn every single day from my employees. I learn about new things. I learn about new perspectives because the biggest thing about running a business is just balancing other people's emotions, right? And building a team, right? Everybody has a different perspective on how they want to show up and what they want to do, right? If our mission and goal is the same, that's great. And that's going to keep us in alignment, but other people have different perspectives on how we're going to get there. And listening is good.
I don't care how much formal education you get, managing people is not something they ever teach you. Like especially, man, I was managing like a team of 12 people in Miami, and we're talking Latin cultures that don't get along, and I've had days where my day just gets away from me because I'm just managing people.
Yeah, man, it's tough, but if you bring on the right people, and we're very particular. Like we're like
right people, right place is actually a thing of my current job employer. That's a big thing,
right? And that's what, dude. Like, and it's been so organic. Like when we hired on Lily, our Missouri community director, it was like I met her. And I was like, yo, you want to do this? And they're like, she's like, yeah, I want to do this. And then she started working for us. And then we brought on our Michigan guy who was running Michigan like sales and different events and stuff like that. Now he's running our social media. And then we have like our Utah rep that came on. She wants to do it, right? So all these people that we came on, they're very, very organic. And they kind of just like fell in our lap. and we were just waiting, and we were kind of just saying like, okay, we want to bring on Texas and Florida, and I guarantee a year from now we're gonna have people in Texas and Florida. Like that's just gonna happen.
Texas got to be a big one for you.
Oh, for sure, dude. I've been in Texas way too much.
I know you like Austin.
To be honest, I probably end up living in Texas.
Yeah,
like in longevity.
I love
maybe
it.
Bring the business here.
I seriously love it. There's a weird, and Columbus has it too, but Texas is warm. Austin's warmer.
Right.
There's a weird entrepreneurial vibe here of people just working on stuff, and I don't know. First of all, it's the most active city I've ever been in. Like per capita, it's probably got to have the most gyms, and it's just a lot of people just working.
Yeah, man.
I don't like using the word vibe or energy, but it's got a good vibe.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a lot of energy.
For sure. I mean, the people you surround yourself with, people you most like, and if you're in that culture, in that community, like it's going to help you grow. And that's why we built what we do at LRX, and that's why it's fun for me to always be traveling and being in different places, because then I see those different cultures and those pockets. And when you're putting in the work, the people that are also putting in the work, they notice and they want to be a part of what you're doing, and you want to kind of help them get to where they want to go, and they help you get to where you want to go. So it's just nice to have that accountability for people, especially obviously being here. Like you have that accountability from people to just keep growing.
Yeah.
You see somebody next to you. It's just like in the gym. You're in the gym working out, right? You see somebody next to you working harder than you. You're like, oh shoot, I got to get going. Like I got to keep moving.
No, I make excuses.
Yeah, good deal.
I'm like, guy's on steroids.
Yeah,
no problem.
He might be.
Yeah,
he's got to be. I've seen him.
Yeah. Let's get a real question. What city do you hate the most?
Dude. No. Out of all the ones that I've been in?
Yeah, I'm joking.
Dude, LA.
But actually, this makes me think of another question. Have you been in some cities where it's like not as active? Like as far as like physically
fitness?
active? Yeah.
Man.
Call them out.
Yeah, dude, call them out right now.
Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, really? No. Dude, I mean, not really. I mean, everywhere I go, I'm going for a gym. So that's the only culture that I'm seeing, and the only people I'm seeing. Where was I recently?
Why do they eat so much cheese in Wisconsin?
Right. I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to know. But
I will say, like the one thing, like I love living in warmer climates.
Yeah.
Because man, it gets a little cold out.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll eat that third cheeseburger.
Right.
No one's gonna see me with a shirt off for a while, except for a CrossFit gym.
Dude, I'll tell you what. When I would spend a lot of time in the South last year during the winter, and then I was back in Ohio for a little bit, and I was like, this place sucks.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? I came from
Where's the sun?
negative 10 degrees. Like,
was it negative 10?
It felt like negative 10. I think it was like negative 4 out.
Yeah, I think I forget about winter sometimes because I think the Northeast is supposed to get hit with like a few feet of snow.
Yeah, dude. I was just mad.
And it's supposed to be 60s this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm being down in Miami and going back there. I'm like, no way. Like,
it does make you happier down there, doesn't it? All the vitamin. You were outside the whole time, so the vitamin D.
Dude, I was feeling great. And then when I went home, I was like, this sucks. But I'm going. So my next step is I'm going from Austin. I'm going to drive back to Ohio, and then Wednesday of next week, I actually fly out to Hawaii to hang out there for a couple weeks. So you talk about rest. I'm going to get a little rest out there.
Is that business or pleasure?
Pleasure. My girlfriend lives out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So going out there, hanging out, and just gonna enjoy some time. She works for Kala Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization in the fitness industry that runs the Hawaiian Trail Run.
Nonprofit.
Yeah, dude.
So the Hawaiian Trail.
We'll do a little bit of business. We'll do a little bit of business out there. We'll do some networking, hanging out, but a lot of working out and just hanging out at the beach.
The Hawaiian Trail Run's nonprofit?
Yeah, Kiala Foundation is who puts it on.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's been on my list as something I want to do.
Bro, let's go. Come on out.
I want to go there. I'm going to go to Kona. Oh, it's in September?
Yeah, dude.
I'll mark that down for
I'll
sure.
give you some information on it. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'll be out there.
I've been to Hawaii when I was much younger, but I don't remember it. So I'd love to go back.
Yeah, dude. I haven't been, but I'll see you in a couple weeks. And
how long has she been out there?
She just moved out like 3 weeks ago.
She like it so far?
Yeah. She loved it. Doesn't want to leave. I'm like, you got to come.
Really?
You got to leave at some point.
My dad was stationed there for a short bit, and he got island fever. Like people they feel like constrained or like claustrophobic.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So some people don't like
Hopefully
it.
that doesn't happen to me. You scared me.
Well, I mean, living there.
Yeah.
Like he just felt like you live in you're able to drive from point A to point B. You can't do that in Hawaii. You can drive around the whole whatever island. Yeah. So for him, he wasn't a fan.
Didn't like that.
Yeah.
Didn't like that. Felt stuck.
Yeah.
I can hear that.
But he was also like, I'm half Filipino. We lived in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Bigger island.
Right.
It was just that small constraint.
Right.
Which I guess I could get. I don't know. I've never experienced it.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So let's talk about like other products that really interest you. So do you just wear 100% LRX, like top to bottom all the time?
I try. I've recently been getting really into just like watching trends in style and fashion. Like when I first started, I didn't really pay attention to that too much. But recently I've been like, okay, if I want to build a brand in the activewear industry, I got to focus on that kind of stuff. So just like different shoes that I've been liking wearing.
Yeah, I think the brand trends, recipes, Virgil Abloh, Off-White, Nike, that stuff. It was so simple what he did,
right.
like redesigning Nike shoes, putting like, what would you call it, like manufacturing kind of notes on the outside that you would only see within like the manufacturer, but like that kind of stuff like super interests me because then like it looks good.
Yeah, right. The simplicity.
Yeah. I love simplicity. That's why like your stuff stands out.
Man, for sure. Other products, man, it's tough. I wear a lot of LRX. I test out other products from different companies that I'm like, oh, this is good, and I get really mad when it's good, and I gotta admit it, but it is,
As far as clothing?
Yeah, like Viore, I wear like Lululemon, that kind of stuff. Like I test it out, see how I like it.
I always tell people you're a more durable Viore. That's what I tell everyone.
That's great. That's huge. That's really, really good feedback. But you got to think about what Viore was made for. Like,
yoga.
Yeah, right.
Leisure.
So it's not something that was made for fitness, functional fitness, right? So I don't wear a lot other than my shoes that aren't LRX, hardly ever.
And that bothers you because you want LRX shoes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in longevity, like right now it's fine. Like nobody's going to compare us to a shoe company. Like they don't even know that we want to create shoes. I mean, we said that on, as a brand, but right now I'm just figuring out all the different things that there are and then figuring out how to make something better than what there is. So that's why I like to test out other products, go shop around, see different other products, because then it's like, okay, what is the industry missing right now? Right? We always talk in business, we talk about a lot about like the blue ocean versus the red ocean. Red ocean is where a lot of the competition is. There's blood in the water, sharks in the water, everybody's there, right? How do we create something that's outside the box of what people have already done, right? So really focus on that blue ocean. So looking and listening for things that people don't have that they do want, but nobody's found the solution to the problem.
Isn't that the blue ocean market strategy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a great book.
Yeah. So how long does it take you to develop and test a product and then put it to market? So, because I saw you just put a whole bunch of concept designs on your Instagram too.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff I was like, oh, I can't wait to have it sold out when I want it.
Right. Yeah. So right now we just put in a production order for some new products that we're going to be coming out with. So like a new set of leggings, sports bras, some women's shorts, more colors than joggers, training shorts.
Who tests them?
I generally test them.
Okay.
But we're trying to figure out more different routes of testing, getting more people in the products beforehand. Before it was just like, let's get a product to market as fast as we can so that we can sell it. You know what I mean?
Minimum viable product kind of mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's what we kind of started off with. But now it's like we put a production order in. If we're going to sample, it's going to take anywhere from like 4 to 5 months to get it finalized. But now we're doing a lot more background research to create a concept and get like all these different like specs of different products that we really, really like, and then how do we merge it or bring it together to create one really great product based off all the little aspects that we really like. So we're fine-tuning that and just kind of figuring it out as we go. But if I'm looking at a product, so right now I'm working on a new men's hoodie, and like a technical men's hoodie and a technical women's hoodie that I want to create that's going to come out in next fall. So now it's just like the testing stages, like looking at other companies, what are they doing, what is great, what don't they have, what fit do we want to have.
Yeah, fashion trends are weird because you can look at what other people have, but you need to be what they don't, like what they're going to have, right?
Right. And I think that's the thing. Like I don't have a background in fashion design. Like I just don't. Like we built products, and I've even had production consultants come up and they're just like, how the heck did you build this? And I was just like, it was an accident.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's good and bad.
You know what I mean? So
I think Patagonia was like something similar. I don't know if you ever heard podcasts with that guy.
I've read his book, Let My People Go Surfing, which is really good. But
you ever gonna do that? You're gonna shut down for good surf in Ohio?
That's the thing. That's one thing. I'm just like, the train, live, rest aspect. One thing we want to start to build into the company as we grow is just like ways that we can, like, having benefits for our employees that they can go out and train, or they can go out and do something. Like we'll have a fund or a benefit that they can go out and do something they want to do off their bucket list, and we'll pay for it. Or like,
oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So like just having different benefits like that, where it's like, okay, you want to let's take your rest benefit for the quarter. So go out and get a massage or whatever it is. Like we'll pay for it. The company pays for it. So having different categories of that train, live, rest, and that was kind of inspired by Let My People Go Surfing, their book, and like, when tides are high, they're going, right? So we don't want people to just be like inundated with work all the time, but we want them to live their life to their purpose and what they want to do. So like giving them the opportunity to live in alignment with what they feel like their life was and what they want to do.
That's gonna be a crazy balance. I know like a lot of these tech companies who have given unlimited PTO, it's actually become a trick. So for example, like I have a certain amount of PTO and I had to burn it at the end of the year because I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
So I was just taking time off and I had like 2 weeks off at the end of the year. These unlimited companies, like people aren't taking the PTO, especially if they're working from home. So they're taking less PTO. So it's like, it sounds like a really cool benefit, but it turns out to be the companies are getting more back from their employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. For us, it's like we don't have a very strict, schedule to what we don't even really talk about that. We just kind of just like, all right, you need to
get the work done.
Yeah, get the work done. Like Cole, I had a Bob Stews up till 1 a.m. yesterday, just getting stuff done. But then I know today he's going to probably get more time with his family. You know what I mean? So like that balance as well is super important. And we talk about it all the time. Like, yo, dude, like one of our employees had a death in the family, and we're like, dude, like, get out of here, go home. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be here. We want you to.
That's how my current company was with when my dad passed. Was just like they wouldn't like I kept trying to log on. They're like, "What are you doing?
Just get out of here, man." Yeah,
but like for me, I'm just like I always work.
We're human beings, man. Like we got to get out of here when we need to. You got to get out when you need to. Like that's the same thing with my employees. Like I'm gonna go out of town for a couple weeks, and they're gonna hold down the fort. I'm gonna check in every now and again, but I know they're gonna get it done, and they want me to go do that because I'll come back.
You're gonna come back and be like, Cole, what do you mean we signed 2 athletes?
Yeah, right. Or I'll come back and I'll be like, dude, I got this fantastic idea. It's gonna blow the company up, and then we're gonna blow up. You know what I mean? Like just because I took the time off.
Yeah.
Right. And just get more perspective and reframing. And I try to do that every quarter. And Cole and I have been talking about it. Like, Ryan, get away for a weekend. 4 days, get away and just breathe, and then come back. And then we're gonna have these things are gonna happen. The great things are gonna happen. And that's what tends to happen. Like,
it's the rest of working, like building a business is like stretching for working out. Like no one wants to do it. You don't think there's any progress, but you have to do it.
You have to, man. If you don't, then you are gonna burn out, and you're not gonna give your people what they need, right? If you're gonna give them a day off, why aren't you giving yourself a day off? You know what I mean? Like, but I think a lot of times, and I have a friend that agrees with this, and she's been really helpful with just perspective on is like, as a business owner right now, like it's not the time to rest. Like you have to go. Like if I'm like driving across the country and the van's unpacked and it needs to be ready for an event, who's gonna do it? Like I'm gonna get it done. You know what I mean? Like I have to.
I listened to Kevin Hart has a lot of those talks. You ever listen to him speak?
I haven't, but I've heard a little bit of stuff, and it's pretty crazy.
His appearance, he's only been on Joe Rogan, I think, one time, but it's a great listen for like people building a business because that guy hustles his ass off.
Yeah, dude. I want one thing that my dad really instilled in me when I was a kid was you better be the one that's working the hardest on the field at all times or on the court at all times. If you're not, then I don't want you out there. And that was the biggest thing ever. It was just like, I'm always going to be known as a person that was working my butt off every single day, and people are going to be either inspired, hopefully they'll be inspired by that, and they're going to want to do it with me.
Well, to a certain extent, right? Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I just want to make sure that I'm always putting in the work, and nobody ever said I didn't try. You know what I mean?
I always want to be the hardest worker in the room and also the dumbest person in the room. I do. Like, I just want to sit there and like listen to people and see like what their experience is, because listen to you, even me, like I'm 7 years older than you, but I have no experience directly related to like building a business. You are light years ahead of where I would be. And that's what I find super interesting, hearing like your experience and what you're learning. And, I hope like we're going to keep this connection. Absolutely. And I'm just going to watch you grow and continue to like learn and hear what you're doing.
I think the biggest thing when you said dumb, I thought humility, right? It's not necessarily, you want to be the dumbest person in the room, you also be humble to know like what it is you're listening to, because there's other people that have other things to say that you can learn from. You know what I mean? Work your butt off and also have a lot of humility, because then you're going to listen to them and you're going to learn something from them along the way, right? Yeah. And then you don't have this perspective towards yourself that, you're dumb, right?
but I mean, I just like learning from people. That's just like my favorite thing. And then that's, again, I told you before we started recording this podcast, I love doing this the most. It doesn't get as much views at this point as like my other content, but it's my most fulfilling thing where I get to sit and listen to have a real conversation, not distracted by anything, and learn exactly through your experiences and like what you're doing.
Yeah, man, I think that's kind of in alignment with your purpose, right? Like you want to listen and you want to hear people's stories and be a part of that, right? And that's why you love reviewing brands, right? You have all these different brands that have all these different stories, right? And that's in alignment with your purpose. That's what gives you the most joy and fulfillment in life. And that's what, for me, it's like, man, dude, do more of that. Like, the more that you do of that, the better you're going to give to this world, because you're doing what you were created to do, right? And that fires me up for you. And anytime I see anybody else that's doing what they love doing every single day, or, grinding and making it happen, that's like, all right, let's go.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been inspired by like what you're doing, and then like a lot of other entrepreneurs, like I personally know and stuff, is like that's what inspires me. Like, you don't have to tell me like to get fired up and what to do. I just like see you loading your van in a random parking lot in Dallas Fort Worth, and I'm like, I can edit this video.
Get it done, dude. Yeah, dude. And imagine you just have tons and tons of people that are inspiring other people to do things that are better. And that makes our world a better place just as a byproduct, right?
But some people, and I've met them, just, they're okay,
Yeah, man.
And you do need those people.
But are they, though? Are they okay?
Yeah, by all accounts. So? Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm someone who likes to travel. I'm someone who likes to, like, look at the next step. But there are people that want to stay in the same job. They want, like, normality. And they want the same thing over and over. And, I mean, for society to work, you do have, like, not everyone can get to the top.
Yeah, man.
You don't understand, because that's not what you're doing.
I don't get it, and I want.
But eventually, you're going to have employees that are going to be at the bottom, and they're just going to want to stay there, and they will be 100% fulfilled and happy.
And that's good.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine.
That's fine. Yeah, totally. No, I get that, because I do need that. Like, there's a book, Cash Flow Quadrants, Kiyosaki. It talks about the difference between a business owner, an investor, self-employed, and being an employee. So on the left side of the quadrant, there's self-employed and employee, and then on the right side of the quadrant, it's business owner and investor, right? So on the left side is where you have the least amount of control, right? And on the right side, you have the most amount of control, because your money's making money for you, essentially. But if you're self-employed, say for example, like you're a plumber, right? You're going and you're the one that has the expertise. You're going into the job and you're making it happen, or you're working for somebody else, right? They're in control of you at all times. But at the end of the day, if you're a business owner or you're an investor, you're able to control those people and work with those people. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want any employees to know about that, because if they know that they could be on the right side, then they're never going to work for you, right? So you need people that are going to go in there and work for you every single day and find fulfillment in that.
Yeah, I want to find like the maximum potential that someone's willing to put themselves through.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Give them the option, and that was
that's good.
The always mentality I had when people, especially with like their jobs, want to like hold it close to the chest, and they feel like if they give too much away, then they become replaceable. But then that becomes a problem in my head. It's like, okay, well, if you think you're replaceable, maybe there's other stuff that you should be doing to like grow yourself and be doing a hell of a job. And
yeah, man, I agree.
That kind of mentality always drives me crazy. I'm like, I want you to replace me, because if you don't replace me, I can't move up.
It's the same with like employees that come to you and say, hey, I'm going to go work at a different job.
Yeah.
And they're great employees and they want to go do something else. And I was like, man, I'm thankful for the time that you worked here, and I'm excited for you to go do what you want to do next. I'm not going to try to convince you to stay here, because I want you to go do it. This is what you feel you're called to do. So we built you to where you need to be. Now go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just kind of praising them on the way out the door,
So you have no time to like binge watch Netflix or like anything, do you?
I watched Netflix the other day.
Oh, you did? Well, I guess you could on flights.
Documentary?
Huh? Or are you working on flights?
I was sick, so I'm working on flights.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. I try to work on flights. I try to edit on flights. And for me, that's kind of like my peaceful time. I'm like, dude, it's finally the time for me just to watch something.
Well, for me, it's the time where there's nobody blowing up my phone.
Okay.